Hi everybody and welcome, this is the Apostate Prophet. I find it very funny when Muslims claim that my life, for example, was completely meaningless and that I was just going after my desires. There is supposedly no meaning to my life because all I do is just live and die. Let's completely put aside the fact that they are making assumptions about my meaning of life without knowing my worldview and my philosophies. It's not me whose life is meaningless and all about desires. It's the life of a Muslim that is completely meaningless and all about chasing your primitive desires forever. Thinking about it, I was raised with Islam, and in a way, I was raised the way you train much less intelligent animals. Throughout my entire life, I was told that I must do some very basic things. Obey, bow down numerous times, and throw myself to the ground every day. You don't need to think, you don't need to question, you don't need to do anything intelligent. In fact, you shouldn't do that. Just obey and mindlessly follow some very basic practices, and abstain from all the things that you want to do. And what do I get for that? I go to an eternal paradise of pleasures. An eternal life where all that is promised is that my basic desires will be fulfilled every day, all the time, day and night, as much as I want. And I just exist forever, without any purpose. In essence, I will have an eternally meaningless life, and we will all just be there having sex and drinking paradise wine and looking at beautiful rivers, and do nothing. There is no purpose, no future, nothing to live and work for, nothing to produce and learn, nothing to aspire for. Seriously, it's just eternal meaninglessness and desires. All of us meaninglessly in paradise, which the Almighty Allah created for us. Basically, we will be even more purposeless than farm animals, which are at least used for food. Think about that for a minute. I mean, although I certainly have my disagreements with other religions' philosophies, at least in Christianity you transcend and become something different, something better. You don't have your body and your desires in heaven anymore. In Hinduism and Buddhism and other Indian religions, you are released and become something inconceivably different, or you just cease to exist and suffer. In other beliefs, you become divine or change your nature and serve a greater purpose. But in Islam, you stay the same decadent human that you are, and you degenerate even further into bathing in your primitive desires for all eternity. And that's it. I guess that's all that could come out of a primitive desert in 7th century Arabia. I actually feel bad about that. I feel like Islam raised me for over 2 decades and simply trained me to chase my basic desires. And now that my religion is taken away, all that I'm left with is those desires. And then I have to find my own meaning to my life. Much too late, because Islam didn't give me any other meaning, besides just obeying the hell out of my life, so that I can be called a good boy and get my eternal treats in heaven, like a good dog. Gladly, I can now use my mind and find meaning by myself, and the meaning that I find is much more meaningful than the meaninglessness of Islam. What I do now is to put effort into learning things, learning more about the universe, the brain, the mind, wanting to advance the civilization, the knowledge, everything that people have built for thousands of years. Islamically seen, everything that I would do in the world during my life, all the things that humans have done for thousands of years, would be considered entirely meaningless and useless. Personally, I don't need to get an education. I don't need to advance science. I don't need to help humanity. All I need to do is pray and obey, die and go to heaven. Getting an education and being useful and helpful is a complete waste of time and in no way relevant to Islam's purpose of life. To be very honest, the most organized that I was when I was a Muslim. Because there was not much that I could do, and all I had to do was abide by very strict rules for every single thing in life. Even rules on how to go to the toilet, for example. Yet, thinking about it, that time was also the least productive time in my life. I didn't do much except learn about Islam and practice Islam. Because all you do is just worship and worship and worship again, all day, every day. That's all there is to it. I didn't even need to learn more about Islam. I didn't need to study it. That was entirely my choice, although I'm glad I did it because now I'm out. If I had been raised without Islam, maybe I would have done many useful things by now and acquired many useful skills. I missed out on those because before I came to my senses, all that I needed was Islam, submission. Because life is just a waste of time, just play. That's what the Quran says. If 1.6 billion people are raised the same way that I am raised, with Islam and the same beliefs and goals, then the lives of 1.6 billion people are completely wasted. I would invite every Muslim who tells me that my life had no meaning to think about that for a second. My life is productive. I deliberately contribute to improving myself and humanity. Whereas an Islamic life, lived by the ideal standards of Islam, doesn't do anything. It doesn't produce anything, it doesn't build anything, it doesn't help anyone. I mean, as a Muslim, you could now study artificial intelligence and contribute to the studies of it and to future technology. And you would be helping humanity, that would be great. But from an Islamic point of view, what does it matter? It's completely pointless. It doesn't do anything to your life at all. Because all you need to do is to pray so that you can go to paradise and have sex. Yet I would be blamed and accused of having a meaningless life if I went out there to have sex with people. I would rather live meaningfully and raise my children with meaning, focused on being good, productive, and helpful, instead of creating more humans that completely waste their own lives and spend their lives in ignorance and obedience, in hopes of fulfilling their most primitive desires in the afterlife, in hopes of becoming slaves of those desires for all eternity, and slaves of Allah. What a great meaning. I definitely don't want that, because there is more to life than being a complete slave of your desires forever. I will keep doing what I'm doing so that more people can find real fulfillment instead of wasting their precious lives. And no matter how successful I am in the end, it is definitely better than throwing away the one life that I have, just so that I can have an eternally meaningless life and live like an animal forever, for which I don't need to be intelligent at all. Thanks for watching. I will be back. Have a great day and stay away from Islam.